Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Livingston Parish Council. This is an official meeting of the Livingston Parish Council, today being July the 11th, Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m. I want to thank you all for taking time out to come to this schedule. To get started, let me leave you with a little quote from one of my favorite reads, Thomas Jefferson. He said this. He said, "Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Influence over government must be shared among all people. Every government degenerates when trusted to the rulers of people alone." But the thing that stuck out to me was influence over government must be shared among all people. So let me just say this. We sit behind this council doing our best, but the true government of our parish is sitting in those seats and is your mouth and the voices that we hear every day. So I just want to say thank you for governing Livingston Parish. Thank you for being here. You are the government for this parish. So let's go ahead and come to order. As our custom, we always open with a prayer. Miss Sandy, would you lead us in an invocation, please?
Heavenly Father, Lord, we just want to say how awesome it is in here.
Thank you so much. Mr. Jimmy Gilbert, would you lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, Miss Sandy, would you call the roll to make sure we have a quorum here tonight?
Mr. Mangus.
Here.
Mr. Watts is absent. Mr. Goff.
Here.
Mr. Shavers.
Here.
Mr. Coates.
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Mr. Erdy.
Here.
Mr. Wascom.
Here.
Ms. Sandifer. Here.
All right. Real quick reminder, just check your cell phones if you don't mind to make sure they don't make too big of an interruption. Also, item 6, it's a standing item that we keep on our agenda, and I'm glad we do, public input. If there is any specific item on an agenda that you want to speak on, please raise your hand. Make sure that I see it. I will do my best to give everybody a chance to speak. At least try to keep it to 3 minutes. And if there's a whole bunch of people, try not to repeat. We've always tried to follow that rule, and if I've messed that, I apologize. But again, if there's an item you want to speak, just raise your hand, and I'll call you to the podium, and we can make that known. The first thing is under presentations. I got the one pulled from the Master Plan Review Committee. Miss Sabrina had asked that we pull that. So, but I have another presentation I'd like to present to you real quick. In Livingston Parish, there is a Livingston Parish karate team. They are national champions 2 years running. And they are now working on defending a third-year title. This is the World Championship, are being held in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Arizona Grand Resort Spa. And so this is a wonderful group of kids, and they deserve the opportunity to show the world that their hard work, discipline, and dedication isn't going unnoticed. So I think there's a lady from here. If you will come up and take just a few minutes and just... Oh, well, bring in the karate kids. Y'all might want to stick around. I'm just kidding. Come on up. And how many do we have here?
We brought most of our tournament team. So Sensei Ray, he is our...
Just, if you would, come stand up along the side over here, if you would. Y'all come stand up on the side over here. We're going to want to get a picture of y'all just along the wall right there. Okay. Yeah.
Man, what Dobok are you from?
I'm sorry?
What Dobok are you from?
Sensei Ray is it's Ray Effler's Livingston Karate. We're right here in Livingston behind the Family Dollar.
right. It's a fine group. Okay. You want to take just a minute and tell us what's coming up?
Yeah, definitely. We're headed to Arizona on July 24th through, no, yes, 24th through 25th through the 28th to get our third title as world champions. And we are, it starts off the year, starting with this tournament. We compete about 50 to 60 different teams all around the world. Last year, I know we went up against Chile and Mexico.
We beat Chile and Mexico?
We did. We did. And Argentina. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Age ranges are from our littlest samurais, probably Dax is our smallest here today, to our oldest, probably Sensei Ray, but I'll also be. So Sensei Ray is a 5-time black belt. He is our sensei who teaches us karate. We practice every Tuesday and Thursday here at the dojo. And then we travel all around the world. So worlds and nationals change. We went to New Mexico, Albuquerque, and we defended our title there, as well as we're going to Arizona, like I said, in July. And we go to Texas. We have a tournament here in Livingston. We'll have at Dole Elementary, the gym. That'll be August 18th or 17th. And that'll be us hosting. So we'll have all kinds of teams come in and compete against us there. And then it goes based on point range. For first, second, and third, you get a certain allotted points.
Sure.
And once you get them, each kid gets recognized if they're in the top 10. We have several first place, second, and third place. They will be awarded a nice little samurai sword, as well as there are 3 different sword types. Sensei Ray would know that, not me. Well, each child is in a division, so they're not competing against, the little ones do compete against boys and girls, but it's usually girls against girls and boys against boys, and same with women and men. We have several black belts in our gym. Sensei Ray's been doing this since 92, I believe, but here in Livingston since 2011. So we've got a really great karate team. We go around and we ask for donations for anything to help with the traveling expenses because some of us are single moms with 2 kids in karate and we love it and it's a family thing. So me and my 2 children compete and then several of our family members compete. So
Would you mind if we line the children up in front of the podium facing that way, we could come take a photo with
sure,
everyone?
yes, definitely.
Why don't we put them up here?
Okay, well, that might be an idea. Y'all want to just let them walk up behind here. Yeah, come stand up behind here, and we'll all sit down and get behind the chairman, protect him. That's a good idea.
Good job. That is awesome. Hey, man.
Okay.
Down to the end down there.
Oh, well, you know what? This might be a problem because some of them are kind of sharp.
Oh, that's true.
Let's go down there and do it.
The height.
Let's go on down there.
That's good.
Was that a cool tour? You enjoy that? Power back here, right? Yeah, I forgot about the height. So you know. Yes, sir. You know, great. Thank you. Yeah, it's great.
I don't see any. Guys, these are like karate poses, guys. Like, come on, man.
Everybody inside. Normally fight in this room. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. Well, look, thank y'all so much for coming, and y'all welcome to stay in the back and listen or whatever, but it might get boring here in a while. If I'm lucky, this will be boring.
It's practice night. We're going to take one more.
Okay, all right. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, we might need their help.
Might want to come down there.
Hopefully we won't. Again, thank you so much. Next presentation is Mr. Ricky Goff had placed this on the agenda, I believe, to get an update on zoning information from Mr. Jerome Fournier, I believe. You
Yes.
think he could just bump the highlights for us, Mr.
Yes.
Jerome, and kind of keep us moving here and tell us about that timeline for
Absolutely,
zoning?
yeah. Thank you for putting me after that group. That's a tough-looking crowd there. And awesome group, though. Jerome Fournier, JPF Planning Consultants, LLC, 5647 Canal Boulevard, New Orleans. I just want to give you a quick update. Basically, the parish issued an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications for planning consulting firms. And the RFQ was to have them qualified to do an update of the master plan, assist with the revision and completion of the zoning ordinance, assist with the necessary revisions to the Unified Land Development Code, right? State law requires that the Planning Commission, I want to make this clear because there's some misunderstanding of this before, is that the Planning Commission, and this is directly from the statute, 33106, general powers and duties, a parish planning commission shall make and adopt a master plan for the physical development of the unincorporated territory of a parish, right? So it's the obligation of the Planning Commission to create and update the master plan, right? But also, as part of the RFQ, we're going to have the consultant work on a revision and completion of the zoning ordinance. That's the purview of the parish council. And also necessary revisions to the Unified Land Development Code, which is also the purview of the parish council, okay? So we got the Planning Commission, the parish council. The RFQ was issued by the parish purchasing department, and they accepted qualifications until July 11th. That was 4 p.m. today, all right? So hopefully we've got a sufficient number that we can analyze. The RFQ was published on the Central House auction and the parish website. The purchasing grant department has assembled a committee to evaluate and grade the submittals, and that committee will meet next week, all right? The submittal with the highest score would be asked to prepare a detailed scope of work and price, after which the parish will enter into a contract to begin work. The committee assembled for the purpose will meet only once for the purpose of grading and selecting a consultant, right? So that's a one-time committee. That's it. Once they complete their work next week and grade them, that committee will be dissolved.
Do you want the council to put, do any council members to be on that committee?
I don't know. I'm not a member of it. We'll
Okay,
have to ask
all right.
the purching
Okay.
grant
We'll get back to
department.
that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we'll find out
I'm sorry
who's
to
on
interrupt
there. In addition to that, I submitted an email a while back, and it's to create a task force, much different than the selection committee for the consultant. The task force is going to be a committee, so to speak, of people representing the parish that's going to assist in the planning process throughout the duration of the contract with the planning consultant, right? The parish council will assemble a task force composed of a cross-section of public officials, administrative staff, engineering, planning commissioners, master plan committee members, professionals in the development community, and citizens and property owners in the parish. The task force will meet throughout the work effort of the planning consultant, provide a sounding board for work performed. It will offer a local perspective to the desires of Livingston Parish. The task force will remain in place for the duration of the work effort for this planning work. We currently have a suggested number of members set at 15, all right? And I distributed this a while back, and basically this was like a first draft of what I considered members of the committee, or that task force, and I had like 2 council members. Remember, we don't want to have a committee where we have a quorum of members, which would cause problems with the open meetings law. Although we're going to advertise the meetings, and they will be open to the public, right? So I had on the initial list 2 council members, 2 master plan committee members, 2 planning commissioners, administrative staff from the planning department and the administration, engineering staff. We have an engineer on board that helps the parish. We'd like that person as also part of the task force. A representative of the business community, and this is not the development community, but this is somebody who might be instrumental in the parish. It has a big business, who would have input as to what's happening in the parish. A representative of the development community. And I suggest and I stress that we should have somebody from that community because we don't want to get to the end of the process and somebody say, well, we didn't have any input. We need input from the cross section of the parish. And then I'm suggesting that we have a citizen or property owner representatives, and these are just ordinary citizens of the parish. We're going to let you, as a council, suggest names for that. And I'm suggesting that we have 3 members in that, so that adds up to 15 members on this task force. Now, obviously, we're hoping we'd have meetings like once a month, throw ideas back at this consultant, and some obviously people might have 1 or 2 not be able to make a meeting, but enough people to give us some input, right? So that's the thinking behind this task force, right? So we'll get this formed within the next month or so, and hopefully have it finalized by the time we get the contract signed with the planning consultant, right? So that's about all I have. If you have anything, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
If you would, maybe reach out to me if it's okay with the council, and I'll check with the council members about who they want to put on serve on the committee, and then who they want to put as the representative of the citizens, if that's okay. Instead of, if that's all right, and I'll give whatever y'all want to do is fine with me. So.
I had planned to, Chairman.
Just reach out to me, and I'll take care of that.
And I'll reach out to you.
Can we move those numbers around?
I'm sorry?
Can we move those numbers around as far as like allocated to each department? We can?
Sure, you're the authority. So, yeah, absolutely. If you'd like to do that, we certainly can. But let's also be cognizant of not having a quorum of council members or planning commissioners or anyone else.
I think Mr. Mangus has a question.
Mr. Fournier, who's on the Zoning Development Code Selection Committee?
I'm not aware who's that. That was formed by the parish grants purchasing department. Right? I'm not privy to that. Yeah.
It's pretty strict guidelines on how that, and she usually uses some staff people to do that, because that's probably an all-day endeavor. They go through each.
They got to score it according to the state guidelines, right?
It's guidelines that they use to score on different aspects of the contract or the submittals that were made. If anybody wanted to join, I'm sure that wouldn't be a issue.
No, I just was curious who was on it.
It's not an overly fun task.
The thing that stands out for me on that particular task, if y'all remember the gentleman that came up for the debris after a storm, and he's from out of state, been riding our parish, and he made a comment that our qualifications, our requirements, and our scoring system was very good. So that just tells me that it was level playing field that hasn't been used to probably in a lot of times. I've never met the man, but that's kind of what I gathered out of it.
The qualification and scoring system is pretty. It takes 6 to 8 hours to complete this. Normally it's going to be Heather and Susan and another clerk that's in their office. But sometimes we get someone from OEP, sometimes from Public Works, depending how it is. But we'll take anybody that wants to be on it. If they don't want to score, just to watch, but it's open. If y'all want to join, you want to do some of the scoring, you can have as many people as you want, but you got to have a minimum of 3. And that's how we do it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. DeLatte. Thank you, Mr. Jerome.
Sure. One other thing, if I might, I had been asked to come for the next meeting, and I hope at that point we'll have somebody who's been selected and I'm hoping we can introduce that person to the council, right?
Thank you for that update.
What I did ask Mr. Jerome whenever we reached out to him is just to start coming to the council meetings once a month to give us an update. I think us as council members kind of have a pretty good idea of where we're at and what's going on, but I think it's very important for the community out there to realize that there's been a lot of work behind the scenes done, and we're actually in the middle right now of really starting to put the car in gear. And I just think it's important for them to understand that and follow along with that as the process continues. So I appreciate you agreeing to do that, and thank you for being here tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jerome. That's good information. Item 8 is adopt the minutes. We have the June 13th, 2024, and the regular meeting, and we also have the June 27th. Those have been delivered to everyone through email, and we didn't be able to look at them. So is there a motion to approve those minutes, or do you have a question?
I wanted to make a motion to postpone them to the next meeting for approval, because I have not had a chance to review them, if that's okay.
There's really no need for a motion. If y'all want to, I'll just pull it. I mean, unless we're in a hurry. Ms. Sandy, any reason why we couldn't delay that for another? All right, we'll just pull those items and then put them on the next agenda. Under Parish President Report, we have a Planning Commission, the Dennis Mills Tower. This is for a waiver request for, I believe it's a tower in Spiller's Ranch. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Give us your name and address, please.
Jeb Dominic, 208 Sawbridge Drive, Ridgeland, Mississippi. I'm the president of GeoNet Services. We provide, we're a subcontractor providing services to cell phone companies, or tower companies rather, locating properties and in some cases representing in meetings. And so I'm representing Bennett Towers.
Okay.
Would be the tower owner for this project.
Thank you. Did this go through the Planning Commission,
Monday.
Mr. Latt? Or did you have something else to say?
No, I said Monday. We were at the Planning Commission on Monday.
Okay. Mr. Leedy will probably give us a quick update on it, if that's okay, and then we'll... Are waivers needed?
Good afternoon. Yeah, the Planning Commission recommended approval contingent on the waivers.
Okay. I mean, other than that, they've just, parts of it didn't meet our law, I guess, and...
It was some of the setbacks on two sides and then a structure kind of close to a house.
Okay.
Is this two waivers? I felt like there was two waivers that were discussed. One for the radius and one for the setbacks. Is
so
that
the
right?
Radius they found out was all right.
Okay.
It was accurate the way they presented it. Yeah.
So what was the? I now watched the meeting, but I do know one of the concerns was if you waive the setbacks and somebody else purchased the house next to it, how's all that going to work? As far as the neighboring properties, with you waiving the setbacks, is there?
I wasn't quite.
We have
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So it was their recommendation on also if y'all wanted it recorded in the clerk of court's office. So their actual determination was contingent on the council's decision on the waiver and recommendation on recording the neighbors' notarized letters. So they didn't know if y'all wanted that recorded into the clerk of court's office. If so, that would be something that's not ever been done, but that is your choice as to if that's something that y'all want done. And this tower, the reason it was pushed in so fast is this is something that 911 and emergency services are trying to get this tower set up because of the problems they had during the hurricane.
If you allow me to say a few things.
Mr. Black, you got the floor.
The tower was built to be a collapsible tower, and that means it's not, even if it falls, it can't fall on the house. But you do have an ordinance that says it has to be, what was the?
Tower height plus 30 feet.
The tower height. So that's why they had to come here. But it's a great idea that he suggested that we put this in the clerk of court's file if y'all grant that waiver.
Sure.
And that way anyone that comes along will be able to see that, yes, that tower can't fall on my house, but if I sell my house and that person wants to ask that,
It'll be on record. That would probably be a good part of
And I
that.
think it's collapsible at 50 foot. Is that what it was, 50 or 60?
we received an engineer's letter, and he says the collapse area is at basically zero. He said the tower bends will bend.
Get to the microphone and answer that if you don't mind. Just because I know people are going to want to try to hear what you're saying.
We received an engineer's letter stating, and he said that the fall radius is zero because the tower will bend from partway down, and it doesn't ever fall over. One thing for everyone to understand is that cell towers, their biggest problem is wind loading. So the biggest loading on a cell tower is wind blowing on those antennas or panels. They don't look all that big, but they're about 8 feet tall and 2-3 feet wide. They're like big sails. So the towers, so the wind loading of those antennas is where the stress is, and you get enough wind. It's the towers are designed to bend, and different kinds of towers, of course. Free self-support towers, which is what this is, will bend at a point.
It's engineered to collapse on itself.
And we have a letter that Dee Dee has.
From engineer. Yeah. Mr. Mangus had a question, I believe?
My question was more of a statement. I live fairly near that. I'm in District 6, but you drive down Hammock Road, you lose all cell reception, that end of it, and it is needed, and the state had asked for this because of the emergency responders.
Right. The property owner, Steve Ballmer, is not here because he and his family left on vacation Tuesday morning. But he says the people there can't talk on their phones unless they're inside on their Wi-Fi. They don't have any service. And as he was saying, this is in addition to regular service, it's also a FirstNet tower. FirstNet is a dedicated network for first responders, and also Homeland Security uses it. After 9/11 and Katrina, it was determined that first responders couldn't use their phones because everybody else had the networks jammed up. So there was, I guess, some sort of a bidding process held with the different companies, and AT&T won the contract to provide FirstNet service. So, but that's what this is. That's why there's such a need.
We have another question, Mr. Shaver.
Hey, if the waiver doesn't pass, what does that? What would be the issue there?
You can't build a tower.
Okay, so you're just waiving the setbacks, though, right?
Yeah.
So you can't have the waiver. You can't have the tower without the waiver.
Exactly. Yeah, because the ordinance requires, regardless of the fact that the design of these towers is that they collapse, the ordinance calls for a setback of the tower height plus 30 feet, which sort of assumes that it's just going to plop over. And so there's really no way to satisfy that in an area like this, because that would require to be in the middle of a 7.5 acre piece of property. I mean, not only is there nothing that big, but no one would provide that for you to build a tower in the middle of that much land. So there's no way to satisfy it.
I believe this is in District 5.
It
is. Correct, Ms.
I'd like to ask you, didn't you tell me that it's 90 feet from the perimeter earlier when we was talking?
Well, the tower is scheduled to be 255 feet, so the setback is 255 plus 30, which is 285. And so, we don't encroach to the north, but we encroach a little bit to the east, and then on two properties to the south. And all three of those property owners where we encroach on the ordinance fall radius have signed letters approving the location of the tower. So
and it's collapsible also.
And it's collapsible in addition to that. In fact, they signed it twice. We had them do it, and then it was recommended by the planning department that we have them notarized. So we went back to them and had them do another set of notarized letters. So they've done it twice.
Everybody's protected. Everybody's protected well.
Is there any?
I'll make a motion.
Can I make it because I have a.
Sure.
I'll make the motion. I know that there is a discrepancy with the letters of no objection, and I've talked about this with Jeb prior to the meeting, just to correct that on the letters of no objection.
The letters they signed had a typo. They say the tower is 250, and it's actually 255. So there's a typo in the letters that were signed, so she wants that dealt with.
I motion to pass or motion to authorize a waiver with the contingency that be corrected.
And one one more thing, don't you want to add the
Recording in the clerk.
recording of the letters at the clerk of court?
Can y'all make that part of the motion?
Can we state what the footage is for the record that I can put in a resolution
Footage of,
for the waiver setback? I have it right here. I can read it.
okay, let me say, she's going to state for the record.
Is it okay if I read it? Or you can say it if you want to.
Well, go ahead and read it. If you know what needs to be said,
The
go ahead.
required setback from the property lines and the house is 285 feet. On one side, the tower will be 95 feet, and another, it will be 282 feet from the property lines. It will be 180 feet from the house.
And that house is also, that's the house of the property owner. And he actually signed a letter as well. Just, that was the second waiver. One was for the setback to property lines, and one was for the setback to the property owner's house. So that's the two waivers that were.
All right, we had a motion by Ms. Sandifer, correct? And is there a second? Second by Mr. Mangus. Any more discussion? Anyone in the audience? None being? Ms. Sandy, you want to call for the vote?
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Erdy?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
How long will it be before it's constructed? Will it be before this hurricane? Before and during? I'm just asking.
Well,
That's going to be the question out
If we
there.
can get a permit within the next couple of weeks, they'll start construction right away. They've already done all of the due diligence. It's already been approved by the FAA, the FCC. All the engineering has been done. So it's ready to turn dirt, you know. But it'll still be a month or so, you know, because the concrete has to cure for the foundations and all that. So.
Thank you, sir.
You're going to have to do, you don't have, okay, we got it. All right, thank you so much, and you got your waiver, so we'll be good. She said she'll do it for you. She'll do it for you.
Okay, all right.
Item 11, introduction of an ordinance. This is for amending Chapter 125 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish Subdivision Regulations. This was placed on the agenda by Mr. Ricky Goff. Before we do anything, let's go ahead and read by title, Ms. Sandy.
This will be proposed ordinance number 24-19. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 125 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish Subdivision Regulations, Article 4, Subdivisions Without Improvements, Section 125-51, Part E, Submittals, and Article 5, Subdivisions with Improvements, Section 125-67, Part 6, and F, Submittals as follows. A public hearing will be held on July 25th at 6 p.m.
Mr. Ricky, you want to give us a quick update on this ordinance?
Basically, we've talked about it multiple times. This is in reference to the waivers that we've been having to give for a named subdivision. I did change that to 1980 on there for Ms. Sandifer. Other than that, it's just an introduction.
Thank you. I think it's a real good, straightforward ordinance, cleaning up our system. So is that a motion to introduce this?
Yes, sir.
Second by Ms. Sandifer. All in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed? None being? Was there any discussion?
Ryan Shavers was absent.
Yeah, Ryan was absent on that one. All right, none being, we're going to move on to the next one. That ordinance, that introduction passed. Item 12, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 24-18. This is in regard to Parks and Recreation. Ms. Sandy, you want to read this by title?
This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 54, Parks and Recreation, Article 1 in general, Section 54-1, restrictions on use of the parish park in the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish. As follows.
All right, this is an ordinance that I had, myself and Mr. Taylor and a couple others had put together, went through the ordinance committee, we introduced it. It's just to give our parks and recreation the ability to have someone removed from a park if they follow all the guidelines. Is there any discussion from the audience on this specific ordinance? We introduced it at the last meeting, and so this tonight would be the adoption. None being?
A public hearing.
Pardon?
Public hearing.
Okay,
Public
so
hearing.
I'll hereby declare a public hearing. Is anyone here to speak for or against this specific ordinance? None being, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Billy Taylor, seconded by Mr. Shavers. You want to call for the vote, Ms. Sandy?
Mr. Mangus.
Yes.
Mr. Goff.
Yes.
Mr. Shavers.
Yes.
Mr. Coates.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Mr. Erdy.
Yes.
Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer.
Yes.
All right. Item 13, adopt a resolution to grant a waiver of Section 126-8, Commercial Development Buffer Zone for a offense. I believe this is in Ms. Sandifer's district, correct?
The property owner asked to pull it from the agenda this morning.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll just...
Is any... I don't know if anybody...
Is anyone
can
here
speak
for
on
this specific item? Not being, and it's off the agenda, so she pulled it, so maybe that's why. Item 14, board reappointment resignation. Item 14, this is for the appointment of a member to the library board. Is there anyone here in the audience to speak for or against this specific board appointment? None being? Is there Mr. Coates that actually placed this on the agenda?
All right, and I would like to thank Ms. Anderson. Ms. Anderson's been on the Library Board of Controls for quite some time now, and I just want to give someone another opportunity to serve the parish. So I want to nominate Ms. Dewana Christian to be our library.
Is she here tonight?
Appointment.
I'll second.
There's a motion by Mr. Dean Coates to appoint. Is Dewana Christian? Is that correct? And second by Ms. Sandifer. Is there any more discussion? None being. Ms. Sandy, we will call for the vote.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Artie?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Item 15, consideration of a resolution to engage Danny. Oh. Ms. Dewana, congratulations. I should have recognized you, but you're
Thank you for your service.
You're in now. Consideration of a resolution to engage Danny P. Garrett III, attorney at law, to provide legal services for the specific purpose of submitting the proposal home rule charter. This was placed on the agenda by Mr. Coates, so I'm just going to turn it over to Mr. Coates.
Okay, we talked about this a few times prior to this occasion, and we were told that we need to get someone to help us facilitate this change. So I'm putting it to the council to see if y'all would support hiring Mr. Garrett. Mr. Garrett came and spoke with us the other day during a special meeting, and I hope y'all would support this to go forward, and that way the parish council would be able to hire its own attorney, free from any other government entities or whatever, and we just have a little bit more autonomous control.
That a motion?
That's a motion.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Mr. Jordan. Is there any discussion?
I got a couple quick questions. So,
Mr. Goff.
So this is to get it to the election. Is that what this?
That's correct.
Okay. So are we going to have a committee of some sort to look at the rest of the charter, since we're going to go to the people to vote?
That's a good idea.
And I know that there's some that were on the ballot years ago. I can pull those up that were pertinent that did not pass. I'm not sure if this council's looked at all of those, but I'd be happy to try to share those with you. But I think it would be proper to have a committee and digest the whole charter and then take it to the people to vote, and maybe have some say from some of them as well. I just want to make sure that that's the direction that we're going.
Are you saying, like, while we're changing the charter, let's go ahead and find what, I agree with that.
Anything else that, because we're going to spend some money on an election, and we want the people to have the input, not only at the election at the polls, but also, you know, if we have a committee, they can come and have their say. And we can digest it as well.
Sure, I have no issues with that.
Okay.
I'll make a secondary motion.
Substitute motion? Substitute motion. Let's
I think that we really should stay the course here, and we can come back and amend it later if we need to. But Mr. Coates has put a lot of effort into this, as has Mr. Garrett, and I understand we need some changes. But I feel like we should pass it as is, and we can come back and amend it and sort this committee out at a different time. So I make a substitute motion to pass. Amend the motion.
You don't need a substitute.
Okay, well then I say, okay.
But Mr. Shavers, I think, had a substitute motion.
Elections are expensive, is all I'm saying. And I'm with Dan Garrett, don't get me wrong. I just think there are some changes in our charter that need to be changed. And Mr. Dan Garrett may be the guy that lead us into that. Those changes.
I was talking to our clerks, and let me just tell you one thing that's on our home rule charter that I think does need to be changed. Now, it's up to the council, but for us to change the salaries of the employees that work for the council, the ladies, we're required by ordinance that there has to be published in the official journal, then publicized, and then come back to the council to a vote for an ordinance just to change the salaries of the employees. I would think if it was up to me, I'd like to see that as changed as well. So, I mean, there are probably some other things that need to be changed, but I see Mr. DeLapp.
I don't have a position on who you hire or whatever, but if you do hire someone, you have to put a amount on it. Elsewhere, I wouldn't know where to take the money from the budget to start with. We way over $300,000. We're already out that legal budget. So you just got to give me an amount so that I could try to come before you and transfer some money.
Did it have an amount on that introduction, on that resolution?
I don't know that you could actually put an amount, just like Mr. Goff's talking about,
You could put an
doing
hourly
something
rate.
different with a committee and things of that nature. So that would interfere with coming up with a set amount at this point.
I think we can set it.
Well,
Yeah, but pursuant to the Home Rule Charter, if you're hiring special counsel for a specific
Well, we do have a price point.
you have to have an amount, yeah.
so
but we don't
should that
have
be
it.
included in the resolution?
So
Yeah, the resolution would have to include the price.
That's what I'm saying.
I know,
Shouldn't it be
I'm looking
included?
at his engagement letter, and there is a per hour price on the engagement letter.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, so that would have to be just part of the resolution.
The reason it requires a price, guys, for us, I know the charter does, but for us, we got to come before you next 2 weeks and say we want to move some money to pay for that. I got to know what that price is going to be with a move. There's no more money in the legal budget, okay? So we got to move money from another fund
to do that.
to pay that. So we're going to need to know that amount when we move it and come before you in 2 weeks.
And guys, just my suggestion, you guys do what you want to do, but whenever we pass ordinances that have to do with just about anything, it goes to the ordinance committee. What we're looking at doing here by amending the Home Rule Charter, that's like amending the Constitution for the parish. So to go into that without some type of committee and study and maybe do it all at once might be rushing something that you might want to look at. But at the end of the day, you're doing it the right way now. Whether you have a committee or not, it's being done correct.
I'm going to interject one more thing. I don't know that it's going to cost any more. We need to just put a cap on it so we can control our expenditures with attorneys and slow that process down as much as we can. But I don't think that he's going to have to be that involved from the committee standpoint as he is once we get the things that we want to change to say legally to change it in the wording that he needs to change and how it's going to have to be presented. I think that's where he's going to be involved. I mean, I don't even know if we need to really hire him right now. If we just agree to set up a committee and go ahead and move forward with the process of changing the Home Rule Charter, I think that's the biggest issue.
that's not what the resolution is saying here. This is just about hiring him.
This is just about
to do it.
hiring
And
him to facilitate this process.
We can
It's
put
not-
a budget in place for it right now. Just amend the motion.
So I got a quick question. What is he going to do then? If we're going to set up a committee and we're going to have the people that have an input and he doesn't need to be at that committee meeting, what exactly does he need to do? What are we after him to do?
I think we're
gonna
moving
go
into
straight on to an
legal.
election?
We're moving into a legal process that we're not sure. I'm not an attorney. I've never done a charter change, so I think it's good to hire him as the attorney and as someone who has done many charter changes to facilitate the process.
I'm looking at some of the items that are in our packet that are connected with this, like the proposition itself, and some of the language may have some issues that need to be reworded. That's why I'm suggesting maybe we look at it. But of course, he can do that on his own too, but it's going to cost you $220 an hour as opposed to y'all doing it for free.
Well,
Or even I'll help
I think
for free.
the biggest portion of this is getting him on board in order to steer us in the right direction and make sure that we're following the proper procedures we need to do. I don't think that I think we have plenty of competent people on the council to be able to facilitate some of this work ourselves and then just bring it to him and say, hey, is this correct? Are we going in the right direction?
Yes, and I agree, and I think that he will keep us straight and corrected in any way. He'll lead us through this, by consultation or whatever, you know.
Correct.
So the issue with me is that let's just have the vote tonight, and then we can talk about the committee.
I would propose to put a $20,000 budget in place, and that's just to give it some fluff. I don't think it's going to go that high, but if you need a number, does that sound okay?
I have one more comment, and then I'm going to shut up.
Mr. Goff.
I think we're putting the cart before the horse. I don't really see a need for the attorney at $20,000 cap or whatever his monthly hourly rate is. I still believe that our best avenue, as you said, we have plenty of capable people on this committee, as well as plenty of capable people in our parish, to take the charter, read through it, come up with our suggestions of what we think needs to be changed in it, and then we facilitate that to that gentleman at that moment in time and say, this is what we want to change. We need your help to. I mean, it's pretty simple to make a proposition and put it on the ballot. That's pretty straightforward. Jim Ryan can tell us what all we need to do there from the election side of it. It's the wording that we're going to want in the charter once we know what we want to change. This guy can't help us on what we want to change. So I don't see no reason to hire him, to be honest with you. I just think we just putting the cart before the horse. I feel that we go ahead and set up the committee and get the process rolling as soon as we can to try to get something on the ballot that is a cohesive, total package. And then I'm not sure when the next election date. Do we have a clue when the?
We would have to look at all that. We're getting way too far into
Yeah,
this.
I think we've gone way out there.
Mr. McMorris, did you have something?
This.
I think we're putting the cart before us.
I mean, as your finance director, I would just like to bring to your attention that we've had significant legal fees thus far this year. So, I mean, the Marty Maley is $104,000. Mr. Moody's $104,000. That's $209,000 for the. You know, we 6 months in. The budget was $250. We added 50. Well,
Coming
we
up.
may consider add 50. So it's not over yet. You know, we far from being over. And then you also have some settlement issues that may arise as well. So I know that it's not much money, but we might be fighting a lot of legal issues right now. So
I understand.
That's just don't matter to me either way. Just wanted to let you know.
Mr. McMorris, perhaps if we were able to facilitate this, our legal costs would go down significantly.
But that won't be done.
It won't be done
this budget year.
That's correct. But we're trying to look to the future right now also.
You guys got 3 more years. So I'm just saying we got a lot of irons in the fire right now with legal issues.
Well,
so.
it sounds like our office hasn't been the financial drain on the legal issues. If we had the same amount for half a year as one single lawsuit from one firm, it sounds like the hiring of a special counsel is what's really draining the money here from the budget. I just want to say that out loud before it sounds like we're soaking it all up.
I mean, I'm not in a position to say what's draining. I'm just
This
in a
has
position
nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're just trying to hire an attorney to help us with the home rule charter.
Right, I think
We
we've
can
gotten
amend
into
it
the
down
weeds
to
here.
$5,000 budget and go from there.
As your finance director, that's the facts. So you just take them and do what you want to do with them.
Sure.
So.
All right. Any more discussion from the council? We had a motion by Mr. Coates, second by Mr. Joe Erdy. Is there any more discussion?
Can we read the
Miss
motion
Abby
again?
Crosby. Come on up.
Thank you. Abby Crosby, 19866 LA Highway 42, Livingston, Louisiana. I support my councilman, Dean Coates, on what he's trying to do. It's not putting the cart before the horse. It's trying to get the cart and the horse together at the same time so you can go further without taking steps back to go redo the issues for the past things that failed. We need to get this done first, and then we can go back and revisit those for next year. This is so important because what we've had and all the legal fees that y'all have discussed, they're adding up because we have not had this. And a lot of things that are being discussed aren't necessarily on this agenda item. So this is to hire the attorney. I'm all for hiring the attorney. You got to set it for $10,000, set it for $10,000. It might not be a lot to some people, it's a lot to some, but it's a matter of moving forward and stopping all this fluffing stuff of people coming up here and suing the council because the council does not have all the ordinance in place, and then everybody else charging the council for different things. The legal fees are eating up the council. It's not the first time. It's been going on for 15 years ever since I've been coming up here. So we need to get this straight once and for all and go ahead and hire somebody, get it over with, go back and revisit the old ordinances that need to be changed at a different time, but get this done first.
I'd like to say something, John.
All right, is anyone else? Ms. Hardy?
I agree with Mr. Coates, the lady that was just up there. I think if we can get this pushed through, it's going to take some time, and we're going to have to do it the right way. But how about looking at it this way? If we get Mr. Garrett in place, and, I think he's the right guy, maybe one day we won't have legal fees. How about that one? Because he corrects us right. Maybe we won't have these legal fees because everything is run like a smooth ship, a better ship. And that's my opinion of moving forward with this man. So I want everybody to take that into consideration.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's, Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Wait, one second.
Is there another discussion?
Can you just read the motion again one more time, please? Ms. Sandy?
You want to read the motion, Dean, or do you know it better? Then you could probably read it quicker.
Because did we add the money to it?
It's okay.
We'll just add,
I'll share.
Yeah, okay.
all right, the ordinance is,
The resolution?
is it a resolution? Okay.
That's what it's listed as, yes.
Yeah, it's not an ordinance because we have to go through introduction.
We're going to stick to this budget?
That might be the other one. Okay, so
Triple it.
I'm looking for it on here. Give me a second, my glasses might need cleaning. So it's to hire Mr. Garrett to facilitate the charter change for the for the council. We would hire him for that purpose, and if we need to put a dollar amount on it, we can put a dollar amount on it through an amendment, or we could just say it in the motion.
In the resolution.
In the resolution, and have it done there. So we'll put 20,000 on it. That's probably over guessing it, but it'll be somewhere to get it
Playing it
going.
safe, though. Playing it safe.
If we put less, what would it take to amend
Just
it?
amend the budget. We contact Mickey, find out what we have and amend the budget.
So let's start lower.
You want to come to the microphone, Mr. Latt? Just because I know people on the TV are not going to be able to hear you.
Yeah, and it's a good call. You can't amend the budget unless I certify it as a surplus. And so far, that's why I got to have the money so Mickey can up the amount so he can go back and see that there's a surplus. You can't just take from another place and amend the budget unless I certify that it's a surplus. And that's what we're going through the process. You have to have an amount. If you don't have that amount, nothing I can do about it. I can't sign the contract. You can vote all day long on a resolution. I can't sign the contract if that amount is not certified as a surplus. So, let you know that.
This would be the second.
Okay, so can we do this? Adopt a resolution to, lost my place here. Hang on. Adopt a resolution to engage Danny P. Garrett III, Attorney at Law, LLC, to provide legal service for the purpose of submitting the proposed Home Rule Charter amendment to the voters with a $5,000 budget. Will that work?
And until he goes over $5,000, then we're going to be in the same boat.
We'll talk it out.
Okay. Again, all I need is amount to certify there's a surplus to pay that amount. That's what I got to know. I got to have an amount. Okay. That's what I got to have.
Is there a reason why we're such rushing to do this?
Is there a reason why you hold it back?
Yeah, because I want the
Every time we try to do better, you hold us back.
No, absolutely not.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure who you're, where you're gathering that from, but better go back and look at some of them videos. But I don't understand. Are we going to do the committee?
No, I think
That has nothing to do with the resolution.
that has nothing to do with this resolution.
So
that's
I'm
on the
just
table.
asking you as a council member, is this to give him the authority and we're going to like rush through and go ahead and take this one item?
I
I'm
think right
asking-
now we're going to take the one item.
We're going to take the one item. So we're
Take the
not going
one
to ask
item.
people for the support or vote or input. We're not going to take it as a cohesive charter and see what all we can change. And we're going to go and do this one item.
We're going to do one item.
Then we're going to come back.
We're going to do one item.
Then we're going to come back and look at the whole charter.
That's correct.
And then we're going to spend money again on another election to
Nope.
try to get those items. Okay, I got it. Okay.
Yep.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Ms. Sandy, you want to call for the vote?
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Shavers?
Yeah.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
Mr. Artie?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
No.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
All right, I believe, did that pass?
5-3.
5-3, it did pass, correct? All right. Item 16, committee reports, I believe we're going to pull that one item from the agenda. I believe I was told that. Also, Finance Committee, did you have any reports on that, Mr. Mangus?
No, we didn't have anything for this one. We will soon. Definitely.
All right, and all right, before we get into, and Dean, I don't think we had an ordinance committee meeting, did you as well?
No, we didn't have any ordinances that came before the ordinance committee.
Okay, but we do have an addendum. This is for, I believe this is an introduction of an ordinance.
No, it's not an introduction of an
I'm
ordinance.
sorry, Aaron,
It's just to...
didn't you send this in?
I did. I sure did.
I just don't see it here. Okay, on the backside, okay, here it is. This was, Ms. Sandifer placed this on the agenda. What it is, it's a resolution, I believe. You want to explain it?
Sure. It's to adopt a resolution to add Julie Quinn for her legal services to the litigation for the lawsuit with Ascension Properties. Pretty simple. And it amends the budget to include $50,000 on top of where the budget already is.
All right, so is there a second?
Do you have that money?
Second by Mr. Joe Artie.
I think so.
And I'm sure we're going to have some discussion on this one. Is there any discussion on this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It said it's on top of the budget. So that
Mr. Goff, you
we
got the floor.
allocated a certain amount to Mr. Steve and Mr. Marty, right?
Yes.
Right. And that's what we're adding the $50,000 to his budget.
Yes.
That's right. So his budget was what again?
The original budget was $40,000.
So right now, Mr. Mickey, can you come back to the podium for me? I just want to make sure I'm clear. So did I understand you to say a while ago that our budget bills at this point in time for Mr. Steve and Mr. Marty are at 104?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, we have a total budget, we had started with 250. So,
But that's
250 for the parish budget for
for the year.
for legal fees.
Yes.
But our agreement and our contract agreement was to this firm for $40,000, right?
Yeah, for
And we
planning.
went over that, and we're at 104.
But
So we want to,
the budget for the year.
for everything.
that's fine, but we want to add an additional 50,000 on top of that for
Which
a
would bring us to
third attorney.
300.
I just want to make sure I'm clear and make sure the people
Yep,
understand
you're
what
clear.
it means. I'm
You're
clear.
clear.
So we want to add a third attorney
Yes,
to
sir.
this process, and we want to increase it by another $50,000.
If we're within our budget, then there's no reason to increase. You want to give me some direction here?
Well, we only have 40,000 left, and this is through June 30. So,
Okay.
see, we have these July expenses, which are going to be significant as well.
Okay.
When they spend all day, at court and things like that,
Yes, sir.
those rack up pretty quick.
Okay.
I'm just not 100% sure, Mr. Randy, maybe you could help me with this from your past experience. I believe we should have already came back to the council and increased that gentleman's budget because he's over the 40,000, and we should have already done that before now. We should be doing that tonight and increase it to 150 because he's over, or we need to increase it to 140 or whatever. But we're going to add another attorney, so.
The normal process in a budget is what happens. Just like Mr. McMorris says, you got a budget amount for the year that you pass. We know we're going to have to amend that budget because we don't have enough money to amend it. What we're dealing with tonight is hiring attorneys. Whoever we hire could be an office worker. We have to tell in your resolution how much you want to pay those guys, because we got to go back and find out where we're going to find this money. We know that we don't have enough money to finish the budget out in legal services this year, okay? We know that based on what we already passed. So now we got to go certify somewhere where we can get money at where we may have a surplus. Sometimes you can get in the permit office, but this year we don't have that many permits going in there, you know. Maybe we might get some royalties from something. We just got to find out where that money's going to be. They're going to look for it. They're going to look for it. If not, when that 6 months is over with, which we still have auditors in our office, 4 people work there every day trying to make these books back up. Maybe they may find something that we can come and use. But for us to hire somebody, for me to sign that contract, I have to certify the money is there, and you're going to put it in the budget. I'm going to come back, I'm going to say we're going to take general fund or wherever it's going to be at. I don't know where it's going. We're going to certify that money, that surplus. You have to vote on that budget, and then we're going to be able to vote. You know, you can vote here to hire somebody with the thing, but I just cannot sign the contract until you recertify the budget, and that's what we're going to have to do.
My question on top of that, and Brad might have said, is we entered in an engagement letter and allocated a budget of $40,000. So we went over that budget without coming back to this council and saying we need to increase that allocation. That's all I'm saying here.
And that's a good point, Rick.
We have not reallocated those funds.
That's a good point.
We're coming here tonight. I met the lady the other day in the hall, I'm sure you know, and nobody else, as far as I know, at this council has met her other than the ones that was on the committee. And Mr. Marty's not here saying that we need her. And I just can't imagine why we need a third attorney, but whatever the council's wishes are. I just want to make sure you understand that we're adding another $50,000, and we haven't even redone the agreement letter, engagement letter that we had with him originally. So I'm just going to wait for the vote.
All right, let's see. Mr. Bennett, you got a question?
Yeah. So are we in legal compliance if we have a contract for $40,000 with Marty Maley and Stephen Irving, and we're now at 104? I mean, do we have to amend that?
We can amend it when we come back if you want to raise the budget. That's a service contract, professional service contract. As long as we didn't go over the, what was it, $300 and some thousand in a legal budget, I did not have to come back to you.
Yeah,
but if you want me to come back every week, we can. But this is going to be $50,000, $60,000 every couple of weeks.
So we're not at 250 yet, Mr. Gillette?
We passed 250 with everybody. We passed that. I think it's 300. Ain't it 280? Where you at, Mickey? I think it's 280.
We're at 209 right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
209.
Okay.
250.
250.
Great.
Would be our.
Okay.
I want to reiterate one more time. I said I wasn't going to say it, but I want to reiterate one more time. It's not the budget that I'm worried about right now. I know we have the money that is allocated in the budget to pay those bills and those expenditures, and Mr. Mickey can pay those bills, no problem. The problem is he doesn't have a certified engagement letter that allows him to go over 40,000. That engagement letter should have been brought to this council and said, we're over our $40,000 budget, and we need to extend that allocation out to 100,000, or we need to send it out to wherever he feels it needs to be. Because right now, our engagement letter just says, we're going to hire you, and we want you to go to work for us up to $40,000. It doesn't give you the right, authority, or anything to go past that. We understand the purpose, and I have no problem paying the man the money that he's working for. I'm 100% behind the $104,000 we're paying. not for this 50, but I'm 100% having to afford it. All I'm saying is from a logistics standpoint and a legality standpoint, that should have came back here. No difference in this gentleman that we're hiring if we put a $5,000 budget on it, and then he goes to $10,000 and he doesn't come back to this council.
And you
he
better
should
add
come back.
150 instead of just 50, if you want to do what Ricky's saying. You have to-
Is that workable? Is that,
Well, again, he says 250 is in the budget. And if you say 150, we got to go find that money to bring back.
can we include that now and then?
Mr. Attorney?
You want to make the budget 150 now?
I just want to increase it by 50 to cover, and then we can come back at the next meeting and get where we need to be with certification.
From what I'm hearing, they're already over the 50. That would be 90. He's at 104,
Right.
not
But there's-
including the 8-hour day you
there's-
had yesterday with 3 lawyers at $650 an hour.
250,000 already in the budget for it. We're at
For
208.
every attorney for the entire calendar year, right? We're going January to December with that budget? Okay. So
I got to come up here and to do what Ricky says anyway, but I got to do it for the whole legal team, not just for these individuals.
Right.
We get out of legal money, sure.
apparently, it sounds like totally out.
Yeah.
So
So, any questions for me, guys?
you can do it. I just don't know if they're going to have the ability to pay it, but you can do it.
All right, we had a motion, I think, by Ms. Sandifer and seconded by Joe Erdy. I believe that's what it was. Or you want to read the motion one more time, Ms. Sandifer, so everybody's
Ask
clear?
one
more
question.
question, Mr. Mangus.
Do we need to make a resolution to increase the budget to satisfy the fees were incurred first?
Whatever number you increase it to has to cover what the bills already are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So,
I didn't know what the bills were.
yeah.
So if you want to do it correctly, all you got to do, if you're
Numbers just got to cover what the man's owed.
If you're are absolute dead set, and I still don't know exactly why we need to hire this attorney and what benefit, $50,000 benefit that she's going to bring to us. All we have to do is pass the resolution to increase their engagement letter from $40,000 to the 150 or 154, I'm sorry, and at that point it covers where we at to date. It's still going to go over. It's still going to go over, but those bills hadn't came in. When those bills come in, then that's when the budget has to be amended, and it's going to have to find it somewhere's in there, and that's a process of advertising and everything else.
So it sounds like we need to amend the budget by 114,000. That's just the
It
math.
changes engagement letter. You can't amend the budget because the budget's got to be a surplus funds dedicated by Mr. Randy. He's got to bring to this board. This board's got to agree that's a surplus. They got to advertise for the budget amendments. We got to come back.
I got that. I'm just saying for the purpose that everybody's talking about, it's $114,000 to cover to cover the attorney fees that we already have, and then to add 50,000 is 114.
In my mind, I can spend money up to the 250, and then if you authorize other money, then I can't write the check unless you authorize additional funds.
So do I just need to leave it as is, since there's 250 in that budget, in the legal fee budget, and just stay with the course of making the resolution to add her to the legal counsel?
The problem is we're going to exceed the budget when July bills come in.
So what do I need to do? What do I need to do?
Can they authorize the expenditure?
So today
even though it
they can
exceeds-
authorize, if they wanted to authorize the resolution to hire this third attorney, and they can vote to amend the contract with this firm not to exceed an additional 114 to make it 154?
Aaron, it's my opinion that you could go with the motion that you was going, as long as you put an amount on it. Put an amount. You just got to put an amount on it. That's my opinion. Now, I'm not the attorney or the financial director. Once you put that amount, then I can go back and see where we can get that money from. Then I can come back here before y'all and go through the procedure Ricky just described. But if you make a resolution, you don't put amount, I can't sign the contract.
Can I put the 50,000? Is that sufficient?
That fit in the budget. We have 50,000.
I mean, I'm kind of like Mr. Billy. We probably need to go above
114?
50.
Okay.
You know, like, because it's still with Maley Law Firm.
The services billed have already exceeded the 90,
I mean,
so it needs to be
Yes,
covered.
I saw the
But
statements.
there's no guarantee now this will happen.
There's
You
no
make the
guarantees it'll get
motion,
paid.
we go look for the money, we come back and we say, look, all we can find is 70,000, 45 or 43. I'm just saying, you make the motion, we're gonna go look for it.
Okay.
We find it.
Okay, so I make a motion to hire Julie Quinn, attorney at law, to our legal team for the Deer Ascension Properties lawsuit, and make an amendment am I doing this right? To add 114,000 to the
Contract amount.
contract amount.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Sandifer, a second by Mr. Joe Erdy. With
Joe Erdy.
I think Mr. Joe's already made the second, if that still stands, Joe. With no more discussion, Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Can I ask, the 114 is going to be added to the budget?
To the 40.
To their
originally
engagement letter.
Contracted. The contract amount.
To the contract, to the original contract.
Right.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Watts is absent. Mr. Goff?
No.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Erdy?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
All right, that motion carried. Let's go back to the regular agenda item, and that is item number 17, District Attorney Reports. Mr. Cascio, any great words of wisdom?
Yeah, honestly, guys, just be careful, okay? I can't speak for everybody. I can speak for me as an assistant district attorney that I got into this not for the money, but to serve the people. And there are, and I don't know any of these lawyers. I'm not talking about them either. But there are some lawyers out there that will tell you what you want to hear so they can make money. Whether they lose or not, they don't care. They just want to get paid.
So there are unscrupulous lawyers?
Can you believe it? So we are at July, and we are, with all these other lawyers coming in here and fighting the good fight, we are exceeding the annual budget already. And I could hear it in y'all's votes. You're not very confident, half of y'all, in saying yes to a lot of this stuff. Just be careful.
Thank you. Councilman comments, any good reports for anything going on in Watson, Mr. Shavers, you want to tell us about?
Right now.
How about down at the Marpaw Swamp area, Mr. Coates? Everything?
We always got stuff going on down there. If nothing else, get with your buddy who's got a boat and get out on the water. It's always a great time.
How about the Hungarian settlement over in Albany? Mr. Erdy, anything exciting over there?
That's something brand new with the solar panels.
Solar panels. Oh, I got some information on that too.
This is like just me telling y'all something here. We talked about the grass catching on fire.
Okay, we talked about good comments now. Okay,
Well, this is a good
stuff.
one.
Okay.
But maybe it isn't. But anyway, the wires laying on the ground were live, and they started the fires.
Oh, okay.
That's worth knowing.
Okay, that's what it was.
That's worth knowing. There was live wires out there, and I saw it.
All right. Well, in regard to solar panels, real quick, I had a gentleman approach me today that said Florida has just adopted a solar panel ordinance that allows, now just throwing it out, it allows for solar panels to be located floating on water. That's what I've heard. He says it has many good things. It keeps the water cooler under. He said there's a lot of hidden lakes and things that are used. So I'm not telling you we're going to do that, but I'm just saying if we dig into it, you might find that's another option. Mr. Mangus, how
Mr.
about Fort
Wascom, they're
Vincent?
trying to put enough stuff in our water right now.
Carbon capture.
All right, Mr. Mangus.
I wanted to say something positive. Mr. Wascom and I attended the Kiwanis Club of Denham Springs.
West Livingston Kiwanis Club.
West Livingston Kiwanis Club, and we met some wonderful people. One of them was Andrea Bell, and they're having an event on August 4th. Event on August 4th, back to school at the, Mr. Wascom, was it the CM Newton? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's at the West Livingston
Yeah.
facility, I believe is where they're going to
Right.
have it.
So I want to give a shout out to
Miss
her
Andrea
group,
Bell? Yes.
Andrea Bell, and their group, August 4th. It's a back-to-school event.
All right, Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, so I just want to really talk about the Gravity One drainage guys, man. They are out there really putting in some hard work. I went to their last meeting on Tuesday, and they have projects that they've been working on for 15, 20 years to get approvals for that have actually started getting approvals, and they're getting grants. So I know everybody's afraid of flooding and all the other stuff that's going along with that, but these guys are out there actually putting in hard work and doing some good jobs out there. So thanks to Gravity One guys, man.
Thank you so much. How about the Walker area? Mr. Golf, anything you want?
I was good in Walker Land. So.
All right, fantastic. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Hey, I don't care about District 5. What? What's up with that?
I'm sorry, Aaron, please. Tell me about South Denham Springs.
We are fine. We are fine. We are wet, but we are fine. I just was picking on you.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Taylor, second by Mr. Goff. All in favor say yes.
That's my favorite.
Yes. Any opposed? That motion carries.